My mind's going blank now.
What's happening?
What? I can't remember.
I'm going to lose track.
My mind's going blank now.
What are you talking about?
What the hell's going on here?
Where the hell are we?
My mind's going blank now.
I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here?
My mind's going blank now.
Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone rapidly rising and with I don't know.
COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives
Reflected in the NHI.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was on the foot in the we're going to seize the ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy.
Yeah.
NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that
Near and dear to you that you would like to be able to. Anyway.
My mind's going blank now.
What's happening?
What? I can't remember.
I'm going to lose track.
My mind's going blank now.
What are you talking about?
What the hell's going on here?
Where the hell are we?
My mind's going blank now.
I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here?
My mind's going blank now.
Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. I don't think as the idea that the political coverage of
I want to thank and recognize Dr. John Kingerson. This song.
I can't get this to function at all.
My mind's going blank now.
What's happening?
What? I can't remember.
I'm going to lose track.
My mind's going blank now.
What are you talking about?
What the hell's going on here?
Where the hell are we?
My mind's going blank now.
I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here?
My mind's going blank now.
Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since I'm in town in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Can't get this thing to work. Anybody see my iPad? Where's my iPad? Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. It's Chris live in central Pennsylvania at a late time. We're doing the news at 7 p.m. South Africa time, 1 o'clock here on the east coast of the United States. That would make it 5 p.m. in the United Kingdom. Welcome back to the program, folks. And Ernst gave me a medal there, said very excellent, informative conversation. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Still got something stuck in there. Welcome back to the program. I saw earlier that Sue Walsh said something about me showing medals. She said, a while ago you said you would show us your medals and think you called it your blues. Well, dress blues are for social occasions in the military, big social events. They were for a period of time also the main uniform we wore. We used to wear a green uniform, and then it switched to for dress uniform. Then they switched it to the blue uniform and made us wear white shirts, which in Africa suck because the collars get ruined very quickly. Anyway, what I have behind me there, since Sue asked about it, is a shirt. This is the shirt we wore when I got out of the Army, short sleeve. You also have long sleeve shirts, and that's for the dress blues. And so you can wear the medals on the jacket. You have to wear them on the jacket, but you can also wear them on your shirt if you choose. At the War College, since we had a lot of African students, and a lot of Africans are impressed by medals, and it raises questions and it helps start conversations. I first learned this working in embassies. If you walk around with a uniform on, all these medals and ribbons, people are going to come over and talk to you, and it helps open the doors. And so I did the same thing when I was at the War College. But when I was in any other Army assignment, I never wore ribbons in my uniform. The only thing I wore in my uniform was the rank insignia on the collar, and then down here you have to have your name, and then your regimental affiliation. That's required. Other than that, actually just a name. So that's all I wore. But when I was in Africa or working in embassies, and when I worked at the War College, I always wore the ribbons because it interested people. So I'll talk about that briefly if people want me to. Do you want me to talk about that shirt? My feelings won't be hurt if you don't want me to. Should I discuss the ribbons? Okay, there you go. Here's a poll. Give you a chance to answer it. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat before we get to the news. Hendo's here. Welcome, Hendo. Monterey Seabirds is back. Dylan Combrick, Sue Walsh, Ernst, Mark Purchase, Diane McMeekin, who corrected me in the last stream. Thank you for that, Diane. I was joking about it, but anyway. But yes, you heard it from the horse's mouth. That's correct. Canthan Pillay is the founder, if I'm not mistaken, of the ZACP. Right. Tanya DeBeer, welcome to you. Hester Kotze, Congo Chris is here. Guten Abend to you. Muriel Haynes, Shawnee says, here for the news. Good to see everyone. George is in from Heckport. Mark Purchase, what's going on in the Middle East? Well, it's a backcrap crazy Middle East. Christine Fundamental says, rubbish! NHI cannot move forward after it was declared unconstitutional. It's a dead horse. Well, I declared it unconstitutional, but I'm not a competent court in South Africa. So who declared it unconstitutional? I'm giving you a headline from Media Report, which I'll talk about. All right, so the Canthan video is down. It's finally compiled, and now I have it. It just did that while I was waiting. It took several minutes. And Robert Rankin's back. Chris Ehlers, Ron Frundespool is in from Bloemfontein. Salem's Cave is here. Welcome to you. Hendo, I already said. Garrett Gillage. There's Garrett. Hakan Engman in from the Netherlands. Cannot talk. What is happening in West Africa? Russian flags are seen in widespread Nigerian protests now after Mali's ties with Ukraine. Well, the Russians are buying affection in the Sahel, and it's working. But it's not real affection. These people are just paid idiots. Cyber says, good evening from the city of choice, Peter Maritzburg. Okay. I voted news first, please, says George. Oh, you want me to do the news first? Lee says uniform is awesome. Thank you for that. Well, it's a lot of news. All my uniforms were stolen at burglary, says Mark. Oh, that sucks. Richard Kuhn, welcome to you. Well, it's kind of like Van der Kolk. All of his sevens, awards, trophies, and kit were all stolen from a storage locker in Cape Town. That's horrible. He never got it back as far as I know. DeBaram is here. Welcome to you. Richard Kuhn, good evening. And Hendo says briefly. George 74 says hello from Durban. All right, so all right, let's get to the news then. We'll cover the news, and we'll do that quickly because I got a lot of news stories. Let's check in on the Olympic medal race first. We're gonna. Oh, by the way, let me comment on this. So this apparently is women's boxing semifinal or final, one of the two. Notice the finger pointing at a piece of anatomy on a female boxer. This is a female boxer, not somebody who has DSD, but a female boxer, okay? All right, so look, you're looking for, not exposed, but the genitalia. Check out the boxer on the left-hand side in the red trunks as she jumps up and down. What's that bouncing around in her trunks? My goodness, that is a female boxer? Seriously? That's a female boxer. We're supposed to believe that? We're supposed to believe that. John Jarvis says, I see wings here. Airborne says, that's air assault. I do have air assault wings. I'm qualified air assault. That's correct. Yeah. In fact, one of my colleagues in the Army with me, also regional specialist for Africa, his son something came up from Gareth Cliff on Twitter. I was trying to see it. There it is. His son just graduated air assault school at West Point, so congratulations to his son. What's this? That's not what I want. Well, I hate Twitter because it tells you a message, then it doesn't take you to the message that you're alerted to. UK is looking a lot like KZN. It is, Congo, Chris. It is. Charmaine is here. Welcome to you. Debaram, lots of Georges there are. Chris Ehlers. Welcome back, Chris Ehlers. Good to see you again. Arctic says it's a penis. It's a kindergarten cop. Boys have penises, girls have vaginas. Remember that? Kindergarten cop, that little kid. Boys have penises, girls have vaginas. That was so funny. It's a tumor. It's not a tumor. It's a tumor. It's not a tumor. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Wedding tackle, exactly. All right, news time. News time. Enough of that. We've had too much fun with that. All right. So this one is just for somebody. Find him, Eva. Who was it? Come on. Who said that? Where was that at? That was up here. She said, no, it's not true. It's rubbish. Who said that? I'm trying to find it. Come on. This one's for you. Oh, I can't find it now. Don't you love that? All right. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, with the news now on Wednesday, the 7th of August. By the way, it's Purple Heart Day. National Purple Heart Day. I've already announced that for our veterans and let them know. And that's when we recognize those who have received the Purple Heart for being wounded or killed in action. Purple Heart. It's the oldest military decoration we have in the United States. All right, and I'll talk about that at the end of this before we get to the medals. South Africa moves to implement national health bill despite resistance. South Africa is moving ahead with implementation of the national health insurance bill despite strong opposition from within and outside the government. We have highlighted the social and economic value of affordable, accessible, quality health care that is available equally to all South Africans, the communist Ramaphosa said in a speech yesterday evening at the closing of ANC policy meeting. We will therefore proceed with implementation of the national health insurance. This includes setting up advisory committees, amending other health-related laws to be in line with this abomination. Yep. Supporters called a generational change to reverse inequality dating to the apartheid era, but opponents, including big local health insurers, say the proposed funding model won't work. The real poor people who are set to be beneficiaries haven't spoken. Nobody's carrying their voice. DA leader John Steenhuisen last month said that NHI continue to be a sticking point for the coalition. Well, it's a disaster. So whoever was it, somebody fundamental said that it's been declared unconstitutional. By whom? Please tell me. CyberX have not watched any of the Olympics. First time ever, just too busy and exhausted from work. I hear you. Diane McMeekin, SA Navy vet here as well. Oh, Diane, you were in the Navy. Okay, cool. Flip-flop Malema's telling Zimbabweans go back to Zimbabwe. Oh, he was fighting for Zimbabweans a few months ago. He is a ridiculous clown. Well, basic income grant, another gimmick from the election, but the ANC says it was not a gimmick. We are serious about implementing this within 2 years of the new government. Yeah, isn't that interesting? ANC's announcement on the eve of the general election that it would deliver policy on the basic income grant in 2 years was not an election gimmick, according to the party's head of Economic Transformation Committee. Mamaloko Kubai told News 24 yesterday that although the ANC did not pronounce on the big basic income grant at a 6-day National Executive Committee, it's Lachota, it was preoccupied with finalizing the modalities. Well, that sounds pretty frightening. Finalizing the modalities. Yeah, that's just another word for stealing. Ladies and gentlemen, the N3, one of the most important roadways in all of Southern Africa, is shut down for 4 days. One of the country's busiest highways is set to be closed for 4 days to allow for blasting activity. According to South African National Roads Agency Limited, SANRAL, said the road will be fully closed between August 15th and August 19th to facilitate blasting next to the Market Road overpass bridge in Pietermaritzburg. Okay, well, that's not good. What's going to happen there? Eastern Region Project Manager Jason Lowe said this forms part of the N3 Section 3 upgrade project from Gladys Manzi Road to New England Road interchange. The rolling closure from both sides will take place between Ashburton and New England Road interchanges. The R103, which is accessed via the New England Road interchange, and then Washington Road will be available as an alternative route during the blasting for 4 days. Well, that's gonna be chaos in KZN. Folks, if you got to go to KZN, make sure you're not there between the 15th and 19th. Just got to be careful there. That's right, Chris Ehlers. You bring that grant on, then people won't be paying for their gardeners or their nannies anymore. Well, extortion war is underway. Surprise, surprise. It's shutting down schools and businesses in Cape Town and the Cape Flats. On Saturday, Cape Town gangsters apparently sent letters to community letters warning that pupils should stay home this week. The gangsters from the Marcus Garvey Informal Settlement in Philippi also instructed businesses to pay protection fees to them and not another gang from neighboring Lower Crossroads. They threatened to kill every Somalian if their demand was not heeded. Wow. Dear community, there are new tax collectors from Marcus Garvey. Do not give these Lower Crossroads boys money ever again, or else we will kill every Somalian. Thank you. Be informed that collection date is the 5th of every month. Yours faithfully, Marcus Garvey. Well, Somali nationals in Philippi are associated with running spas and shops. Where's law enforcement? Why are these protection syndicates allowed to operate and impoverish poor South Africans in the Cape Flats? Wow. The owner of a salon on Stock Road said he would keep his business closed until it was safe to reopen. We were caught in the middle because this month these guys come and take the money. Next month it's others who come. It's not just safe anymore. Yeah. And here is the actual letter. You can see it. Not making this up. The extortion letter making the rounds in Philippi. Police spokesman Andre Trout said the South African Police Service was aware of the threat of possible violence, and the origin and circumstances surrounding these threats are now part of police investigation. That letter is prima facie evidence for criminal prosecution. You can't do that. You can't threaten people like that. Well, speaking of criminal prosecution, former Hawks member jailed for selling police uniform for just 4,500 rand. Stupid ANC apparatchiks are really dumb. Esmeralda Bailey, we've heard her name before. Yeah, she was sentenced in the Belleville Commercial Crimes Court. Former Cape Town policewoman Esmeralda Bailey has been sentenced to an effective 11 years in prison for selling a police uniform. Wow. A former member of the Hawks was found guilty and charged of corruption, possession of drugs, 4 counts of obstructing administration of justice, and the loss of firearm. Okay, so it's a lot more than selling a uniform. Yeah, during the trial, senior state advocate Zole Jonas led evidence that Cape Town-based Captain Jefta received information that there was a person selling police uniforms, firearms, and ammunition. All right. See, this is the problem with the IOL. Their clickbait headlines are misleading. She didn't go to jail for selling police uniform. She went to jail for selling arms and weapons and ammunition and uniforms. Wow. Well, 11 years. There you go. Goodbye, Esmeralda. Another criminal taken out of the police service. Well, the 20-minute red card is coming into effect, folks, for the Rugby Championship. That's when a player gets a red card. They go off for just 20 minutes. Now, that's from the Rugby World Cup right there. That's Sam Cane being sent off with a red card epically in the Rugby World Cup final in Paris just a few months back. Governing body Sanzar said that Tuesday that 20-minute red cards will be among the rules changes for the 2024 Rugby Championship starting this weekend. Wow, in certain cases, players issued a red card can go off for 20 minutes and then return instead of being out of the game forever, unless it's an intentional or malicious, particularly egregious act. So it's up to the judgment of the officials. In neighboring Botswana, a trade war is ongoing, which is ironic because Botswana is a member of the Southern African Customs Union, the oldest customs union in the world, and it is also a member of the Southern African Development Community, yet it is putting up trade barriers to products from South Africa, trying to foster a domestic industry, which is not a good idea in a dry desert. Botswana has imposed yet another ban on agricultural imports. This time it's on oranges. Effective June 17th to the end of August, a temporary ban has been enforced by Botswana's agriculture ministry to support local farmers and stabilize the market, part of a broader strategy to undermine economic integration within SADC. This from the government of Eric Masisi. The United States will be giving $414 million in humanitarian aid to the Congo. Wow. That is a lot of money, folks. That's a lot of money. U.S. said today it would provide nearly $414 million in humanitarian assistance to the DRC, where more than 25 million people need that aid. Funding includes direct support of agricultural commodities from American farmers who will formally announce the aid in Kinshasa today. Takes total U.S. funding for the DRC since October to $838 million. Wow. We have given nearly $1 billion to the Congo in less than a year. That's insane. That's the highest level of aid we've given in Africa in a long time. Nigeria's president is calling for an end to protest and the bloodshed that are ongoing as youth act out. Nigeria's president, Tinubu, has called for calm amid violent protests over government policies and the cost of living. Rights group Amnesty International accused security forces of killing at least 13 demonstrators in the first day of protests last Thursday. In a televised address, Tinubu urged demonstrators to suspend any further protest and create room for dialogue. I've heard you loud and clear. I understand the pain and frustration that drive these protests, but we must not let violence and destruction tear our nation apart. We must stop further bloodshed. 100%. Well said, Tinubu. We'll see what happens. Nigeria has begun arresting protesters with Russian flags. Now, why is that? Isn't that free speech? Nigerian police said Tuesday they had arrested more than 90 demonstrators carrying Russian flags. Thousands of people joined protests against government policies and the high cost of living last week as Africa's most populous country suffers its worst economic crisis in a generation. The rallies have petered out in most parts of the country following clashes with security forces, but hundreds of protesters still took to the streets in northern states on Monday, including in Kaduna, Katsina, and Kano state, as well as Central Plateau state. AFP journalists and witnesses saw some demonstrators holding Russian flags, and they got arrested. We arrested more than 90 of them with Russian flags. What is going on? Why are black Africans flying Russian flags? Well, that's a strange situation. Congratulations to Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, as it celebrates its National Day. On behalf of the people of the United States, I offer congratulations to the people of Côte d'Ivoire as you celebrate your 64th anniversary of your nation's independence on August 7th. The partnership between the United States and Côte d'Ivoire remains firmly rooted in the advancement of stability and peace throughout the world. We appreciate your commitment and diplomacy in support of the promotion of resilience in the region. Also extend my congratulations to the people of Côte d'Ivoire on your victory at the Africa Cup of Nations this year. The United States stands beside Côte d'Ivoire as a close partner on your Independence Day. We look forward to expanding our partnership and deepening our commitment to shared values over the coming year. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State. Microcredit pioneer Mohammed Yunus is now the leader of, I don't want to say war-torn, it's not war-torn, but of disrupted Bangladesh. Microcredit pioneer Mohammed Yunus to take caretaker Bangladesh government lead. Nobel Peace Prize winner Mohammed Yunus, a widely respected microcredit pioneer, is chosen Tuesday to lead Bangladesh's caretaker government after Prime Minister Hasina resigned. The appointment was decided Tuesday in talks between the president, armed forces chiefs, and more than a dozen student protesters. There you go. So he was 2006 Nobel Prize laureate. He founded the Grameen Bank, which started micro-lending back in the 1970s, 1976. Paris organizers have had to cancel too many races in the poo water of the Seine River. Athletes competing in the upcoming Olympic marathon swimming events repeatedly face training delays due to water quality issues in the Seine. Poo water. Poo water. The decision is the fifth time organizers have scrapped training in the river since the start of the Olympics on the 28th of July. Statement from World Aquatics and the organizing committee early on Tuesday said that 1 out of 4 readings of the Enterochia bacteria in the river, an indicator of the presence of fecal matter, that's poo water, was above the upper authorized limit. The decision to cancel training is taken out of an abundance of caution, especially given that another familiarization swim was scheduled for today. Ever since the River Seine was chosen location for the triathlon and marathon swimming, French authorities have been racing against time to clean up the poo water in Paris. Ooh, Paris, le poo water. Mad. Ça, c'est la merde dans l'eau. L'eau est contaminée avec merde. Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi wants to know why the South African Defense Force is deployed in the DRC. I just discussed that on Biz News. You can find that video where I was interviewed by Chris Sten about why. If I remember, you remind me at the end of this, I'll come back to it. Well, the boxing controversy, which I just showed you. Here you go. We'll see it again. This is the women's boxing. And check out that woman with an appendage bouncing around in her shorts. Okay. All right. You can tell us that's a woman. You can tell us that. Yep. But a boxer, this is a controversy is not going away at the Olympics, and people are doubling down on it both sides of the aisle. Iman Khalif of Algeria moved past questions about eligibility with a unanimous decision over Thai opponent. Shall now fight for the gold medal. So these two who failed gender test and were not listed as women by the International Boxing Association are allowed to play in the Olympics. And you saw a moment ago one boxer's genitalia. Changing our attention from the Paris Olympics briefly to Romania, where a bear mauled and killed a hiker. Romania has the second largest population of bears in all of Europe after Russia, but the most in mainland Russia. Bear mauled a Romanian teen to death. Will a cull solve the problem? Well, they stopped it. They weren't killing bears, but now they're going to start it again. On July 9th, Diana Kazaku, a 19-year-old hiker, was mauled to death by a young female bear in the Bakuki Mountains north of Bucharest. The government overturned a 2016 moratorium on bear hunting and reignited a fierce debate about what to do with Romania's growing bear population, the largest in Europe outside Russia. Wow. When her boyfriend rang the emergency number in a panic on the 9th of July, the call was transferred. Wow. The bear attacked the rescue team, who defended themselves with pepper spray, firecrackers, and rocks until a hunter arrived and shot the bear. But it was too late for Diana, who was lying on her stomach, her head in the stream. Wow. The bear had grabbed Diana, thrown her down the ravine, and they descended the rope and found the bear standing over her. So there are about 8,000 bears living in the arc of the Carpathian Mountains, one of Europe's last wilderness regions. Their habitat constantly eroded by logging, the spread of towns, and tourism. Wow. That's sad. That's sad. In the United Kingdom, the riots continue. Thousands of police are on standby across the country to go after white Brits while ignoring those carrying scimitars and swords and beating white Brits up in the streets. United Kingdom bracing for another day of unrest today. Riots have erupted at anti-immigration protests in towns and cities across Britain in the past week, with attacks by far-right groups on hotels and housing asylum. But, of course, the Al Jazeera doesn't cover the attacks on white citizens walking down the street being attacked by knife-wielding and 2x4-wielding and misbehaving Islamic fascists. Well, it gets even better, folks. The Brits are really arrogant. They actually think they have the right to prosecute you and me and anybody they want. The British government, instead of going after everyone who committing crimes, is focusing on one group, and they have so much energy, they're not even focusing on the Islamic fascists walking in the streets attacking people. They have the time to attack people outside the country, telling them they're going to apply for extradition for people who break British law, not in Britain. Can you read between the lines, UK? Can you read between the lines? Batshit, bonkers, crazy UK. You people have lost the frickin' plot. These fascists that you morons elected in office, I appreciate that the Tories were not a good choice, but letting this moron Keir Starmer be in charge of the country, your country is gone. It's falling apart. You have no right to prosecute people outside your country where you have no sovereignty for crimes that were not committed on your soil. This is bullshit. These people are unbelievable. Nowhere to hide for influencers behind the disorder, says a top prosecutor. The director of public prosecution says his teams will consider seeking extradition of social media influencers allegedly playing a role in the violent disorder gripping the UK from abroad. Stephen Parkinson told the BBC that offenders must know that they're not safe and there's nowhere to hide. Are you serious? So you're threatening the world. You're threatening the world. And the problem with this, of course, is their definition of influencers and the definition of acts inspiring these things is bullshit. Just merely talking about the fact that they're Islamic fascists beating up white British citizens is enough to fall foul of these scumbags. Stephen Parkinson told the BBC that offenders must know they're not safe and there's nowhere to hide. He added that nobody involved in the violence should know they would face, that anybody involved in the violence should know that they would face the most severe possible criminal charge, including terrorism. Approximately 100 to 400 people arrested in relation to a week of disorder have been charged. Prosecutors and detectives are working now through cases in teams across England and Wales to push as many suspects into courts as quick as possible, a la January 6th. Yeah. Selective prosecution. Yep. It's from the BBC. Yep. All right. I'm going to close the poll here shortly. U.S. presidential campaigns shift their focus as we get into the final months. 3 months to go before the vote. Top U.S. presidential campaigns are focusing their efforts this week on events in several states. Fresh off of naming the leftist lunatic, the weirdo from Minnesota, Tim Walz, as a running mate, Cackles Harris is traveling Wednesday to Wisconsin and Michigan, and other stops planned for Arizona and Nevada. J.D. Vance, President Trump's running mate, is holding events in Wisconsin and Michigan. Events in North Carolina are set for later in the week. Oh, there you go. Weirdo Tim Walz, the guy who called Trump weird. A Pakistani man has been arrested with ties to Iran, charged in a foiled assassination plot targeting Trump. Asif Marchant, 46, allegedly worked with a supposed hitman to try and kill a political figure. A Pakistani man with ties to the Iranian government sought to carry out a political assassination in the U.S., a case that was investigated weeks before government tried to kill Trump at a Pennsylvania rally. The 46-year-old traveled to New York City and worked with a hitman to carry out. Well, there's a super chat from Paulie for 99 Rand. Thank you for that, Paulie. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. It's a slow super chat month. Working on behalf of others overseas, Marchant planned the murder of U.S. government officials on American soil. Why is he in the country? Why is this creepy-looking, pedo-looking dude in the country? He was arrested on July 12th while preparing to leave the U.S. He told investigators that he has a wife and children in Iran and a wife and children in Pakistan. Fortunately, the assassins he tried to hire were undercover FBI agents. Okay, well, the FBI is actually doing something right. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin backtracks and tries to defend his decision to revoke the 9/11 pleas, which would have put KSM Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in prison for life rather than the death penalty. United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin defended his decision to revoke controversial plea deals agreed between prosecutors and 3 men accused of plotting the September 11th attacks. Speaking publicly for the first time about his decision, Austin said it wasn't a decision he took lightly. He did so to honor the scale of the loss that occurred that day. I've long believed that the families of the victims, our service members, and the American public deserve the opportunity to see military commissions, trials carried out. Well, where are they? We've been waiting 2 decades there, Lloyd Austin. You're a 4-star general. You were a captain when this started. Why haven't we seen trials? Kamala Harris's pick for vice president, Tim Walz, is a drunk. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He was arrested in 1995 for driving under the influence and gave a surprising explanation to cops. He was driving 96 miles per hour in a 55 zone. In an 80 kilometer per hour zone, he was traveling 154 kilometers per hour. Yeah, that's just a little too fast, folks. Just a little too fast. About 70 kilometers per hour too fast. Double the speed. He was arrested and booked under driving for influence, and the cops who arrested him said he had a smell of alcohol on him. They gave him a breathalyzer, and he failed it. His blood alcohol content was 0.128. Woo! Woo, that's like a brewery. That boy was really pickled. Yeah, Tim Walz. Yeah, this guy, this scumbag that's now the candidate for vice president, is a drunk who endangered public safety. And there's the police report. But you know what? He claimed he was deaf. Tim Walz claimed he was deaf. Now, in 1995, when this piece of human feces was arrested in Nebraska for speeding and drunkenness, he claimed he was deaf. But here's the problem. He was a non-commissioned officer serving in the Minnesota National Guard. You cannot serve in the military if you are deaf. We don't have deaf people in the military. It's a discrimination. Yes, it is. But some discriminations are necessary. We don't have deaf people in uniform. So if he was deaf, he couldn't have served in Minnesota Guard. They would have discharged him, and he would have gone to the Veterans Administration for care for his hearing loss. So he's a liar, as well as a drunk and a leftist. Yep. So there you go. But his case was, took a plea bargain, and he got away with it. Cori Bush! Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked witch, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. No, it's not the Wizard of Oz. It's Cori Bush, the second scumbag member of the so-called squad to go down in flames. First, it was Sparky the fire dog, Jamal Bowman. He's busy now pulling fire alarms all over public schools in New Jersey. Sparky the fire dog Bowman, or New York City. And now Cori Bush, one of the most repulsive human beings in the House of Representatives, is gone, defeated by a young black gentleman who is a prosecutor. Cori Bush loses Missouri House primary to Wesley Bell. The vote in Bush's primary is among the most hotly contested in a slew of House, Senate, and gubernatorial races in Michigan, Missouri, and Wisconsin. Wesley Bell was projected to win the Democratic primary, and in an upset, he defeated scumbag Cori Bush. Yep, was most hotly contested contest as one of a slew of the races. Her opponent, Bell, was backed by the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, one of Washington's most powerful lobbying forces, ahead of the primary's home stretch with a sizable monetary advantage. By the end of June, Bell had 4 times as much cash on hand as Bush. Outside groups, mostly the pro-Israel lobby, opposed her pro-Palestinian views, spent more than $12 million in ads that attacked her and supported Bell. And it worked. It worked. Goodbye, scumbag. So long. Don't let the door hit you in the ass when you leave in January. Oh, thank goodness. 2 of these scum are gone. Now we still have Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley. They're still there. They need to be addressed as well. Nasty human beings. Elon Musk is suing advertisers over the alleged advertiser boycott of Twitter, arguing collusion. Racketeering. These companies are in trouble. Wow, they filed the lawsuit Tuesday in a federal court in Texas against the World Federation of Advertisers and member companies Unilever, Mars, CVS Health, and Orsted. Accused the advertising group's brand safety initiative, called the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, of helping to coordinate a pause in advertising after Musk bought Twitter for $44 million in 2022. Ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino said the video announcement of the lawsuit stemmed in part from evidence uncovered by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, which she said showed a group of companies organized a systemic illegal boycott. There you go. In November 2023, about a year after Musk bought the company, a number of advertisers began fleeing it over concerns about their ads showing up next to pro-Nazi content and hate speech on the site, with Musk inflaming tensions with his own posts. Musk later said those fleeing advertisers were engaged in blackmail and using a profanity, essentially told them to go away. Well, there you go. Well, we'll see what happens in that case, but they should win it. Microsoft fires back at Delta Airlines, saying it's their fault. Now, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this. Microsoft blames Delta for the outages. Microsoft's lawyer said CEO Satya Nadella emailed Delta CEO Ed Bastian but didn't receive a reply. I'm sorry, excuse me. So this is the quality of leadership that we have at Microsoft. Let me put this in context. So the CEO of Microsoft, in the midst of a travel meltdown in which 5,000 flights were canceled, not delayed or postponed, canceled, leaving hundreds of thousands of travelers stranded, costing $500 million. And what did Microsoft do? He emailed. Really, he emailed. You couldn't pick up the phone and call the CEO of Delta and say, hey, listen, how can we help? That defense is not going to work when they go to court. And they're going to court, folks. They're going to court. Microsoft lawyers said a key crew scheduling system that failed being serviced by other technology companies, including IBM. So they're blaming IBM, Microsoft is. Delta CEO Bastian told CNBC last week that the carrier has no choice but to seek damages from Microsoft and CrowdStrike for the mass disruptions, which cost the airline $500 million. Well, I hope Delta wins. I hope they do. Well, American Gabby Thomas won the women's 200-meter Olympic final, gold medalist in fine fashion, and she beat the runner Julian Alfred from St. Lucia, who received the first ever Olympic medal for St. Lucia just a few days ago in the women's 100. Now she's got a silver, 2 Olympic medals for the athlete from the Caribbean. But Gabby Thomas gets it done. Look at how fit she is there. 3 years ago at the Tokyo Games, Gabby was forced to settle for bronze, but running Tuesday night at the Stade de France before a crowd of 80,000, the 27-year-old American started fast, broke away early, and won her first gold medal. She didn't settle for bronze this time. Clutching her head after crossing the finish line, she looked relieved and joyous at her win. She spread her arms and the American flag to celebrate. I'm really in disbelief because having Olympic gold medal is something of my wildest dreams, but at the same time, I know how hard I fought for it. I was not prepared for how I was going to feel when I crossed the line as Olympic champion. There's nothing like walking to a stadium, 80,000 people, they're screaming, they're right on top of you. It made it a lot more special when I crossed the line. Julian Alfred of St. Lucia, who won a gold medal in the 100-meter final at St. Denis on Saturday, took silver. It was the second ever medal for her nation. She said she hoped her breakout performances would inspire more athletes and more financial support in her island nation. American Brittany Brown, age 29, won the bronze. It feels amazing to be around these women, to be part of this class of women, Brown said. Congratulations to all the runners. Look at the muscles on Gabby Thomas, man. Muscles just rippling there as she goes across the line. Well, a New York assistant district attorney from the Bronx was caught in a pedo sting. He went to meet a 13-year-old boy to have sex with him, apparently. New York assistant DA quits after being caught by pedo hunters trying to meet a 13-year-old boy. A New York prosecutor handling child endangerment cases. Okay, get this. This guy handles child endangerment cases, and he's going to have liaison with a 13-year-old boy. Abruptly resigned days after he was filmed running into vigilante pedo hunters in a Target car parking lot. Fordham Law School graduate William C.C. Kemp Neal was allegedly arranged to meet a 13-year-old boy outside the Mount Vernon store when he was confronted by members of the group Dads Against Predators. When one approached him to ask if he was Marcus, the 30-year-old bolted across the lot before being grabbed by a passerby and wrestled to the ground. So that guy came out of nowhere. He's a badass, said one viewer. Wow, he's 2 feet shorter than the guy, and he locked him down. Kemp Neal was earning $84,990 as an assistant district attorney in the Bronx District Attorney's Office before his resignation on July 12th. He's written papers for the Fordham Law Review on the theme of environmental racism and dealt with assault, harassment, and child endangerment cases. Yet he likes little boys. Dramatic footage shows the vigilantes chasing him as he sprints away, with one yelling, "Excuse me, everybody, this man right here had arranged to meet a 13-year-old boy. This man is a pedo in your city." Marcus is a pedo trying to meet a 13-year-old boy. So they grabbed him and held him down. Oh my goodness. This is something else, folks. This was something else. Let me show you some of the images they've got here of this guy being caught in the Target parking lot. And he took him down. That guy took him down as a hero. Wow. He's not been charged with any offense. He worked as assistant ADA from June 2020 until July 17th of 2024, but not anymore. Magnitude 5.2 earthquake has struck California, followed by over 50 aftershocks. The initial 5.2 quake struck at 9:09 last night, 14 miles southwest of Lamont in Kern County, at a depth of 7.3 miles. Oof. Well, earthquakes in California. Who knew? It's probably climate change. Climate change caused earthquakes now. Now, it turns out that the people in space are screwed, ladies and gentlemen. The astronauts in space are screwed because NASA doesn't have a solution for them. Quick, let's think of something a la the Apollo 13 movie and solve their problem. The Boeing Starliner is stranded at the International Space Station. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams arrived there 2 months ago. They still don't have an official return date. And as even the doomed spacecraft's return to the surface without any astronauts on board, there's a key option for NASA at this point, may not even be on the table. According to sources, Starliner's current flight software isn't able to autonomously undock from the space station and re-enter through the Earth's atmosphere. If this is confirmed, a confounding new ripple for what has already turned out to be a disastrous crewed flight for Boeing and NASA. Problems with the capsule's control system thrusters have caused major delays for Williams and Wilmore's return. NASA has been pondering whether to send the pair back on board SpaceX Crew Dragon, which is scheduled to launch later this year. But even that mission could soon be pushed back, slipping from August 18th to September 24th. Why exactly Starliner software is unable to perform autonomous docking procedures remains uncertain. After all, Boeing already demonstrated such an ability during the uncrewed orbital test launch in May of 2022. They left dogs up there in the 50s. Now they're leaving astronauts in space. Wow, folks, this is scary. Donald Trump is thrilled with the choice of Tim Walz as vice president for Kamala Harris. He recalls a phone call with Walz in 2020 during a Fox and Friends interview. He said, Trump said that he's a very liberal man. He's a shocking pick. I could not be more thrilled. He recalled one of the only times he had interacted with Tim Walz, explaining how Walz reached out to him during the pandemic because his house was surrounded by anti-lockdown protesters. So he called Trump up. What do I do? I said they only had one guard. I guess it was at his mansion or in his house in some form. And he called me and he said, what do you want me to do about it? I was in the White House. And he said, if you put out word that I'm a good person. And Trump did. He put out word and he said, he's a good person. I hope everything's good. And everybody put down their flags and took their flags with them. But they took the American flags, the MAGA flags, and they left with them. It was thousands of people. Former President Warren Waltz is more radical than Harris on key issues like immigration and crime. I've done the same on Twitter, posting a video, and also here on YouTube about this guy. Yep. Anyway, never been a more leftist ticket than this. Well, Trump is trashing the VP pick as well. Yep. On Fox and Friends. A ticket that would want this country to go communist immediately, if not sooner. Oof. Wow. He called him a darling of the far left and insisted he was thrilled that Democrats had picked a progressive candidate to complete their presidential ticket. Yeah, I'm with Trump. It was a horrible decision. Horrible decision. So, in an op-ed piece in the New York Post, they're wondering why the Secret Service covered for cocaine. Why did Biden's clown show Secret Service try to cover up the cocaine found in the White House? Well, in case anyone doubted the Secret Service was engaged in a cover-up over the cocaine baggie back in 2022, it was. The latest reports, as soon as a uniform officer found the drugs, notified disgraced ex-director Kim Cheadle that he wanted to follow certain crime scene protocols, and retaliations began, starting with that officer allegedly being taken off the case. He found the cocaine. He was taken off the case. The leadership apparently began to pressure forensic workers to stop trying to find DNA matches and sought to avoid interviewing hundreds of people with access to the space where the drugs were found. At some point, Cheadle reportedly demanded that agents destroy the evidence, then threw a hissy fit when her demands ran up against conscientious subordinates who pointed out a 7-year retention policy. Wow. Cover Up Kim was far more focused on DEI nonsense. Well, that's what she's going to be known as, Cover Up Kim. Yep. Now, the U.S. women's 3x3 basketball team actually got a bronze medal, but they were whiny little babies about it. At least the white girl was. Everybody loves this girl, Haley Van Leith. Well, she's a whiny little baby about this. Let's see what she had to say. She said, this was 1,000% BS. Those refs wanted the U.S. to lose. She said after the game, they were flopping left and right. They're not that good. Great job, ladies. We know who should have won. Talk about a sore loser. Her teammate, Sierra Burdick, was a little more reasonable. She said, not the medal we wanted, obviously, but I don't want to take away from the moment. A lot of gratitude, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears were invested into this. That's so cliche, but it's so true. Yep. Van Leith's comments were echoed by the ESPN Entertainment Sports Program Network's Brian Windhorst, who said FIBA doesn't really want the USA to do good at 3-on-3. They really want that to be for countries that can't field 5-on-5 teams. Well, that may be true, but the athletes saying it is not a good look. Today is National Purple Heart Day, folks. Purple Heart, of course, has the image of George Washington on it. It's the oldest military decoration in America. Purple Heart Day on August 7th commemorates the creation of the oldest American military decoration for military merit. The Purple Heart honors the men and women who are of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. During the American Revolutionary War, the badge for military merit decorated 6 known soldiers, and it has decorated hundreds of thousands since that time. That's the news for today. You guys want to hear about my decorations? It is Purple Heart Day. I'm not a recipient of the Purple Heart. I was injured in combat, but I never pushed it, and I don't think it merited a Purple Heart. So anyway, let me say hello to people in the chat. I'm going to end the poll. 70% want me to talk about it, and 30% don't want me to talk about it. Well, there you go. This is destruction of evidence. It is a felony charge. That's correct, depending on the jurisdiction, but generally that's the case. All right. Oh, my stomach is acting up here. So, Diane's, go back here. We should have a national referendum, votes for big policies. Big reason ANC lost votes because the informed voter. Yes. No, the reason that they lost votes, one of the reasons, and people forgot about this already, you're correct, is because the black middle class who realized they were going to lose their quality health care, their access to health care. The black middle class that was ignored by the ANC while they spent all their time in the rural areas trying to get votes, they got pummeled because black voters who have a living, a lot of bureaucrats who are in government, and also those in business, said, screw this, we're not for that. Yep. Thank goodness it's from the 15th. I have to go to Durban to work on the 14th, but I hate that road. Yeah, I don't care for it either side. It's a beautiful road, but it's been ruined by the trucks all that cargo should be on trains, but that's been destroyed. Radio operator, served at Silver Mine, then Durban, Signal School, and finally headquarters in Pretoria, where I retired in 2009, moved back to Cape Town. Oh, you served in the SANDF as well, not just the SADF, but the SANDF. All right, Diane, what was the SAN like, the South African Navy after time? You had an interesting leader there for a while who was promoted. He wasn't a Navy guy, but he was pretty smart. Far too many trucks, yep. Too many crashes because they're bad driving. Well, they're not just bad, they're horrific driving. Yep, and nobody's going to do anything in these gangs correctly. Correct, nothing's going to happen. Scorpions took down the gangs, and Zuma took down the Scorpions. The gangs went on a free-for-all. Correct, Arctic, 100%. Diane says, should never have come back to Cape Town, but I'm afraid PTN has changed a lot in the 13 years I lived in Centurion. I know Centurion very well. Lee Lowe says, thanks for an awesome program. Well, the medals come out shortly. Do you know Andre? Oh, that's not for me. Okay. In the olden days, everything was moved by rail. There. See, there you go. That's exactly right, Charmaine. And that's why the road's messed up. Yep. And then Hendo's given a link to one of the Telegram groups. I knew it, Andre Van Niekerk, who was comms. Okay. When do I receive this money? What money are you getting, Congo, Chris? N says, hands off. I think he meant off Botswana. He's missing F there. When will Americans begin to mind their own business? Never! And when will you mind your own business? Aren't Americans angry that China is threatening to take over the domestic market with their products? No. Arrogant people? No, we're not arrogant. We just gave the Congo $414 million. You're arrogant, and you're rude, and poorly informed. You're just spouting racist, leftist garbage because that's all you know. You're not an informed person there. And welcome back to the program. It's been quiet and lovely with your absence. Justin Benatti, Dante Chris, you're very welcome. And Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi wants to know why the South African Defense Force is deployed in the DRC. Because the ANC is egotistical. That's why. They're not there for anything. If you go back to the deployment 20 years ago in the DRC by Namibia and Zimbabwe and others, it was to steal resources. They went for the dime, the golds, the what's the stuff goes in the phones? I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, they went for all those things. Coltan. They went for coltan. And they made a fortune. And that's how the Zimbabwe Defense Force paid its general officers and its officers, and they made a fortune off of it at the expense of Congolese. It's not vol water, it's cock water. Yeah, it is cock water, definitely. Microlending wrecks your credit score. Avoid at all costs. It might be appealing to the impoverished, but does nothing deep in the difficult. I don't know, Congo Chris. I've seen the impact of microlending, but these are countries that don't have credit score systems. They're desperately poor. Okay. Citizen Concern dropped another one of your favorite party leader, Go Helen. Are you let her go scot-free? I don't know what you're trying to stir here. And why do you think the DA is my favorite party? Are you deaf? Do you not listen? Have you not heard me attack the Democratic Alliance repeatedly? I don't have a favorite party in South Africa. People have asked me who I'd vote for. Most likely it would not be the Democratic Alliance. They're a leftist party. I don't like leftist parties. The only parties on the right, politically, that make sense. I mean, Gate McKenzie's on the right, but the Patriot Alliance is just a vanity project. It does nothing for me. Are the Freedom Front Plus and ACDP, and maybe a couple others, but there's not really many there. 2 months away from Fat Bear Week. Best week. What is Fat Bear Week? I don't know what that is. Citizen Concern. I don't know. What is Citizen Concern? What is her video about? About Helen Zilla? Don't care about that. I'm in Romaine here. No bears. Okay. What's your take on the DA Freedom Front Plus riff in the Western Cape, or is it sensitive news? How is it sensitive? Why are you being such an ass there, Ann? You think you're being funny? If you post an opinion about it online, UK will send police to make you delete the harmful. No, they'll arrest you for the harmful content. Starmer must step down. I agree. And Paulie with the 100 Rand super chat. Once again, thank you for that, Paulie. I appreciate that. Jacques Fundenberg, good evening to you. Orwell's still fiction. Yeah, exactly. can't make me do, what's this? What can be unburdened by what is, yeah, exactly. Could they donate it to those in need of reverse situation? Imagine if one could swap those things out. Okay, you guys are talking to each other, so I'm looking for something. Deaf, drunk, now I haven't heard it all. Exactly. He's deaf and drunk. He said he couldn't understand a police officer because he was deaf. He couldn't hear. Yep. All right. The World Bank has classified Botswana's economy as a high-income one. Well, no, it's middle income. Has it been reclassified as high income? It's a middle income country. I'm not sure. It's not a high income country. The per capita income isn't high enough. Unless they've changed the rules. When is this? Oh, timestamps aren't there. Damn it. Freaking timestamps. I hate that. Ed says that Africa cares nothing about the World Bank. That's nonsense. The ANC begged the World Bank for $4.3 billion in 2020. They do care about it. And most countries in Africa do care about the World Bank. He's just full of shit. Botswana do well to shift their allegiance to BRICS. Why would they go to a communist-run grouping? Botswana, even under Masisi, is not communist. I hate Masisi. Yeah, I dislike Masisi. 142. That's where that's at. 142. I'm catching up now. 142. 142. There you go. That's the one I want to get rid of. Remove. Okay. Took care of it. All right. Any news on the fire at Vancouver Construction? No, I haven't heard anything about that, Diane. I didn't see anything. It was in the news earlier. Slippery Pickle, how's it going? Hey, community, I'm trying my butt off to join and send super chats. Am I so blonde? You have to have a credit card registered with Alphabet with Google, and then you should be able to super chat. It can be troublesome for sometimes for people, but yeah. Are you doing it on a mobile or are you on a PC? It's easier on a PC. Okay. No, I'd love to hear the bell ring. That's why we have it. How much was given to the Taliban by Ojo? Well, the Congress gave the Taliban money, not Joe. Yep. Just ignore Chris. Mike said, maybe pull together a wiki page with your story and a list of service. I don't have a wiki page. Yeah, I don't have one. When I got to Pretoria in 95, Admiral Simpson Anderson was chief of the Navy, followed by Admiral Retief and Mudima. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. Yeah, Mudima. So you did serve when Mudima was there. Okay. Now, Mudima is the guy I'm talking about. I mean, there were... The SANDF was very careful early on. The Army chief, of course, immediately was a black South African from the MK or something like that. But the other service, particularly the Air Force, Khano was there forever. He kept trying to retire. They wouldn't let him. But the Navy, they were very careful. They held on for a long time before they brought someone in. Mudimo had no naval experience, and he told people, he said, I don't know the Navy. I've just been brought in here to run it, so I've got to rely on you guys. That's my experience and my impression. If it's different than what you saw, I'm curious. You have conflicts in between BRICS that won't work. Yeah, BRICS is a joke. It's an acronym. That's silly. Anybody that talks about it. Screw the bell, says Arctic. Screw the bell. Thank you for the 39.40 rand. All right. Okay, it's time. You want me to show the decorations? I'll do that now, okay? All right, so this is the shirt that we wore for a number of years when they switched from the green uniform, which used to have a light green shirt, a poplin, to blue uniform. We already had the blue uniform. It was used for social occasions. We had the dress blue and then what's known as the mess blue, where you wear the cummerbund and you have the jacket that comes up. You know, it doesn't go all the way down. So that's a beautiful one. I have my mess blues. They're upstairs and they're put in a garment bag so they stay fresh. This is the shirt we wore for a number of times, replaced the green shirt. So what you have is on the right side here of your chest, you have your name, of course. This is everywhere in our uniforms. Our name goes here. U.S. Army on our fatigues goes over here. but name always goes here. And then above that, you have your regimental affiliation. This is the Intelligence Corps, because I was a member of the Intelligence Corps, so that's there. Infantry guys have infantry unit. Thank you for the super chat, Arctic. So Lee says, apologize for any misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? There's no misunderstanding, Lee, that I'm aware of. Diane says, yes, that's exactly how I was. I liked him a lot. So did I. And so my analysis is correct. Thank you, Diane, for confirming that. Mudimo was a brilliant selection, and I said that. I can't say where I said that, but anyway, when I did. So then these decorations here are what are called unit level awards. So the unit level awards are awarded to a unit, not to an individual, for actions. So, for instance, this is the Valorous Unit Award for valor in combat, and this is the presidential citation. So this one was awarded one time, and that I received 5 years after the war concluded, but for our actions against the Talwakana Division and other Republican Guard elements during the Gulf War. So every member of our battalion who was assigned to that battalion when that action occurred was awarded this as a personal award. It's a unit award, but it comes to the person. Now, the reason I wear that is because I was in the unit. Thank you, Brett, for your membership. 32 months, my goodness. Almost 3 years. So anyone that's in a unit when a presidential citation is given, they wear that forever. Subsequently, anyone who later gets assigned to the unit that was received that award must wear that ribbon while they're assigned to the unit to recognize the unit. So that was the Valorous Unit. This is presidential citation. I received 3 of these, which is incredible. I mean, rarely do you get any. I got 3. I got one for my service at the National Security Agency, one for my service at the Defense Intelligence Agency. They were both awarded that during the period I was there for my contributions. And the third one was for the U.S. Africa Command. Let me hang this for a second. I got to crack my back. It's really driving me nuts here. Give me a second here, guys. Back is really jammed. Oh, that's better. So those are unit awards, but I would wear them individually, and I've been decorated 4 times. And the ones in NSA and DIA had to do with the war on terrorism, and the Africa Command similar. So anyway, so those are that. Down here, we used to wear this differently, but this is for combat. So you have the authorization when you've served in combat to wear any unit you've ever served in combat with. Most people traditionally will wear the first unit patch that they served in combat. The first time I ever served in combat was the 3rd Armored Division in the Gulf War, and almost nobody has this patch on in the Army now. And I'm not in the Army anymore, so I bet you there's maybe 10 people left in the U.S. Army who were junior enlisted, became officers after many years later on, or warrant officers that still wear this patch because the unit doesn't exist. It was deactivated. So that is my combat patch. Up here is where your rank insignia. These are the Eagles for a full colonel, and the Eagles look forward. So you have to make sure you have the Eagles looking this way. Brad's given $10. Can foreign countries still get and win a presidential citation? I'm not sure. I believe they can. Thank you for that $10 there, Brett. Okay, this is a little more complicated over here. So John Jarvis noticed the wings. These are not parachute wings. These are air assault wings. Air assault is rappelling out of helicopters and sling loading helicopters and things like that. So there's that. All right, then these decorations, there's many of them. I'll try to list them. So this first one here is the Liberation of Kuwait Medal from the government of Kuwait, the Gulf War. This is the Defense of Saudi Arabia and Liberation of Kuwait Medal from the Saudi government. It has a palm fringe on it, which is pretty cool. This is the NATO medal. I got this for Bosnia. I also got it for Albania. I received the NATO medal twice, but you don't get to put anything on it. For some strange reason, you only get to have it one time, whereas normally, thank you for the $10, Brett. Whereas normally when you get subsequent decorations, you put a star or a number on there. But I only get to wear it once. Then this is the overseas ribbon. Is that the overseas ribbon? Yeah. This is the Army overseas ribbon for completing overseas tour. That has an 8 on it, but the actual number is 11, I think. They don't make 11s, so I stopped putting them on. Then you have, this is the Army Service Ribbon. Everyone who completes their initial entry training gets one of these, so everybody has a ribbon after they first come in the military. Then this one here is the Armed Forces Medal or something like that. That was for Bosnia during the Clinton administration. Then this is, I start to forget, Expeditionary. I can't remember all these. This is a Kosovo Medal. This is for Kosovo. And then this is for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Desert Calm, 3 stars. Only about 20,000 people in the U.S. military are authorized to wear all 3 stars. a lot of people do it because they don't know better. No one calls them, but you can't wear all 3 stars unless you participate in all 3 operations: Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Desert Calm. And I did participate in all 3 operations. Only about 20,000 of us fell into that category. So that's unusual. Another campaign medal. This is National Defense Service Medal. You wear this for service during periods of conflict. I've got 2 of those, the Gulf War and then the 20-plus year war on terrorism. Then this is the Good Conduct Medal. That's something you rarely see an officer with because only enlisted can earn that medal. But as an enlisted member, I had faithful service and I earned the Good Conduct Medal. Then the Army Achievement Medal. This is with 4 decorations, Army Achievement Medal. Then the Joint Services Achievement Medal. And then you have the Army Commendation Medal with 5, 10, 11 decorations. 11 times I was awarded that. And then the Joint Service Commendation Medal. Then the Army Meritorious Service Medal, which has 2 decorations. I got 2 MSMs from the Army. And then the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, I've got 5 decorations, but I think I've got 8 of them. I just never update it. And then this is a Legion of Merit. This last one is a Legion of Merit. So those are the decorations. You can see I have multiple decorations in some of them. Now, we're going to have a few trolls that accuse me of, boasting or whatever. I'm not boasting. That's not an indication of anything, how good or bad I am at anything. It's more a reflection of my service and having been there, having successfully accomplished things. But the decorations for achievement, they're all by bosses who were good at making sure that somebody got awarded for their achievement. I did the same thing when people worked for me. Was service under civil affairs, Special Forces Ranger Battalions, was what service? I don't understand your question. Well, I was in the Intelligence Corps. I worked with those people, but I was never in those units. So there's another super chat from Brett. Thank you for that one, Brett. We're turning into Super Chat Day. No, there's no misunderstanding, Lee. I don't know what that was about. Lots of ribbons in this uniform. Yeah, Robert, there are a lot. And there's probably a couple I'm eligible for that I never pursued and told people about. There's another super chat from Brett. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's, again, I could have a wall full of all these things. I've got the certificates. I've got the medals. I can hang them up on the wall. You don't even see my award from the government of Liberia. That's something I'm very proud of. It took forever to get it. I mean, long after I left Liberia, but only about 18 or 20 people have ever been awarded by the Republic of Liberia, and I'm one of them. That's pretty cool. Sean Connery wore a similar uniform in the Presidio. Yeah, exactly. Debbie says, fabulous. Elsa says, evening, Colonel members. Brett says, conform. Okay, I think they can, Brett. Robert Rankin, put close to the camera. Oh, sorry. Is it too far away? Okay. Let me put it close to the camera. I'll show you. There you go. There you go. Is that better? Close to the camera? Yep. So, interesting fact, on your dress blues for social occasions, enlisted can wear the full-size medals. Officers can only wear the mini medals, which are much smaller. But they're cool. It looks sharp. I wish to say, God bless, Chris. You're awesome. Well, thank you, Lee. But, you get people like N who come in here and troll and act like children. Yep. Cool Achievement says, Maryland, thank you for that. Whoops, it jumped ahead there. Brett says, Bosnia, Serbia, Yugoslavia, what happened? What do you mean what happened? Is Serbia today the Serbia war? No, completely different country. No, Yugoslavia fell apart in the early 1990s, and I cautioned the officers around me and my commander in Germany it was going to be a problem. And I was just a lieutenant. Nobody paid attention to me. And once again, I was correct in my prediction, sadly. Yep. And then I later served in Bosnia and also involved in the Kosovo campaign. Just the facts. Yep. Service and experience. Yep. Sue says, wow, Colonel, thank you. It's a wonderful achievement. Well, thank you very much for that. Diane says, there's also a Streamlabs tip page. Yeah, here's a better way. Lee, if you want to do a super chat to me, do you have a PayPal account? Okay, so anyone that wants to super chat me that doesn't want to send it through YouTube, this is a much better option. YouTube takes 30%. If you want to super chat me through PayPal, you can send it to that email address, and I'll be grateful for it. Thank you. A number of people do that sometimes. They do take a small fee, but their fee is much smaller than what comes out of, because it's a currency exchange. They take it from, whatever currency it is to dollars, and they take it. Yeah, so if you want to super chat, that's the way to do it. Just tell me you've super chatted. In fact, I haven't been to my PayPal account in ages because people haven't paid me there. So let's see. Let's see if I got any money in PayPal. Anybody's put a purchase in there, or not a purchase, but a donation. Yep. Oh, they want to send me a code because I haven't been in there for a while. I think my browser updated. Okay, so send me a code. What's this? I'm in. Okay. Yeah. The last time I got something was, I got money from TikTok on July 15th. I'm going to start putting effort into TikTok. I got $3.31 from TikTok. I had no idea I was getting money from them. That's funny. Oh, I'm approved for credit. Yeah. So recent activity, show all. TikTok, I got $3.31. I had no idea. That's in the last 3 months. So nobody's putting any money in here in the last 3 months. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, PayPal. I got a little bit of money in PayPal, not a lot. So if you want to help folks, you can do PayPal. It's right there. All right. I've never got anything from the Streamlabs link, Diane. Thank you for mentioning that, though. Oh, hang on a second. What did Brett ask here? Thanks for your service in Bosnia and Kosovo. What was all behind that? I understand that. Oh, you mean the Bosnia and Kosovo story? You don't know that? Oh, my goodness. That's sorry. I forget. I lived through these things. Why does the long center exist? The conflict was so complicated. It was complicated. Very quick answer to that. In 1980, in high school, when Josip Broz Tito died, I thought Yugoslavia would fall apart. I was a young historian, still in high school, learning about history, and I had been following that, and I thought that he's the guy that kept the country together, which he was. And I thought, and I wasn't the only one. A lot of people thought it was just all going to fall apart because Tito and his secret police, the only thing that kept it going, and some economic prosperity. Well, it didn't fall apart. It was able to stay together for another 7 or 8 years because the economy was good. But then the economy tanked in the late 1980s. And when it tanked, people started using ethnicity as an excuse to take political control. And people like Slobodan Milosevic and Alija Izetbegovic and Tudjman, the Croat, the Muslim, and the Serb. And they broke the country apart, and it was very complicated. You had people attacking each other for religion and for race. The number of rapes was astronomical. 50,000 children were born as a product of rape. The Serbs raping Muslims and Catholic Croats. Charles gave a super chat of 70 Rand. Thank you for that. Yeah, 50,000. And this is a true story, folks. I know people from Bosnia who know people who were gang raped. They would take houses, large houses. They would round up Muslim women. They'd round up Croat women and sometimes even Serb women and girls. We're talking about little girls, 8, 9 years old, and women up into their 60s, 70s. They would take them in, and the soldiers, which were really paramilitary thugs, would come in when they were off duty, and they'd pick them, and they'd rape them. They'd gang rape women. Some women getting raped 20, 30 times a day, every day, for months on end. Some of them were taken out, bullet put in their head, when they were done using them. It was horrific. 50,000 children that we know of were born as a product of these mass rapes. This is just horrific stuff that goes on in conflict, and it needs to be addressed. My wife won't let me hang my best pilot in the world certificate in the house either. Sounds like a personal problem, Artie. Robert Rankin, thank you. That's nice. You can always be proud of what you've... Well, there's a lot more. That's just scratching the surface. That's why when these turds attack me, it's just comical. Stunning, very neat, and interesting looking ribbons, well recognized. We get a better look when you showed up closer. Okay. Think that most trolls and other dingbats who talk garbage here are probably also woke leftist hate wankers. They are. How's things back home? Oh, that's for Hendo. I'm proud of your achievements, Colonel. Hope it doesn't bring up too many. But no, I'm fine, Elsa. I'm fine. Look, I don't have any lingering effects of my service or serving in combat or seeing atrocities. It really hasn't affected me in any way that I'm aware of. Just kidding. Anyway, Charles Van Onslin, thank you for your 70 Rand super chat. Thank you for your service. He says to me, you're very welcome. Brett says, I had a cousin that died returning from that war, not combat, naval accident. I don't know enough. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that. All right. Gerhard Steenekamp is here. Aren't you getting ready for Saturday's game? I'm sorry. There's no E after Steen, so it's just Steenkamp. It's not you. Wrong Gerhard. 2 fellow sheep lovers today. Oh, the Welsh are getting together. Are you selecting the pretty ones? Hendo's watching Hot Blondes. Well, not on Victoria's Secret, brother. We know that's not the case. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Vancouver fire. Let me look that up, Vancouver fire. All right, let me see if the PayPal thing worked out. Nope, no money came over. All right, Vancouver fire. Okay, Vancouver fire. Fire-torn East Vancouver apartment building ordered demolished. Demolitions in a huge fire at Vancouver construction site contained. Okay. All right, this is CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. What the heck kind of website is this? Okay, you got to load the images manually. All right, so here's the fire you were talking about. I'm going to have to use the screen instead of the browser. There you go. Cause of fire and subsequent crane collapse are under investigation. Vancouver Fire Rescue Services said it's extinguished a blaze that destroyed an under-construction apartment building, damaged 9 nearby homes, and appears to have caused a crane to collapse. Good Lord, that's a hell of a fire. There you go. Look at that. Man, look at the flames from that thing. Good Lord, flames don't usually go that high. That's insane. Wow. Embers from the fire have ignited 9 additional homes. 2 are uninhabitable, but the rest suffered minor damage. Good Lord. So here's the video. Let's see if we can play the video. Good Lord, look at that. That's insane. Wow, that is a fire, folks. That's going to get your attention there. That'll get your attention. Oh, Lee, you don't have to be a member to give super chats. No, you don't have to be a member. Anybody can give a super chat as long as you have a credit card on YouTube. To be clear, okay. So if you are watching this, you don't even have to be a subscriber to super chat. You can, well, you have to be a subscriber to chat. So yes, you got to be a subscriber. You're a subscriber already, so you can super chat. Just push the button, do it. If you got a credit card set up, I mean, I have a credit card set up with Alphabet, and then when I super chat other channels, it's there. Person whose stream I watched said he thinks it was gas. Yeah, probably. Yeah, a debit or credit card, yeah. Or do PayPal, yeah. Or, as Hendo said, meet me up at a meet and greet or something like that, and you can hand it to me in cash if you want. That's very kind of you. Yep. Michael says, interested in reading info on the Army, operational levels, intelligence, psychological operations. Well, the two don't work together. I only know PsyOps because of some other reasons. PsyOps doesn't work with the intelligence for the most part. Diane says the person, oh yeah, okay. Is Charmaine going away? All right, Charmaine, have a good night. Thanks for being here. Do appreciate it. And thanks to the people who are currently here. What is it, 95? 94 likes. We haven't hit 100 yet. What's up with that? Yeah, it's my Wednesday. It's always my busy day. Today we did the inaugural Iconic with Canthan and Chris. I enjoyed it. It was immensely wonderful. I don't know how often we'll do it. Maybe once a month. Maybe a little less than that. We'll see. But I really enjoyed it. So, yep. Yeah, so Lee, you can do a super chat without being a member. You don't have to be a member to super chat. I mean, back in the heyday when things were really, really wild here and people were on YouTube all the time because of the lockdown, hundreds of millions of people that normally would be doing something else, the super chats were fast and furious. I mean, I got $500 super chat from someone who wasn't a member. Yep. Paulie says the chat with Canthan was on fire. Well, I thought so too. And Dylan says Iconic was a great screen. Well, thank you for that, Dylan. Appreciate it. We just got to get more people to know about it. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Let me go back to my PayPal. Yeah, I did. So I got money from TikTok. That's the second time I've got money. Earlier this year, I got like $2 or something. So that's $5. Let me see if I can do a custom last 90 days. Let's do this year. Okay. Yeah, the only thing I've gotten on TikTok this year, nobody super chatted me on TikTok at all this year. Wow. January, I got $2.32 from TikTok, and now I've got $3.31. I don't even know what the money's for. I've got stuff on there. I guess people are watching. It must be ads. I know 2 Brits served in Yugoslavia. One was horrendous story of the effects. Yeah, no. Look, I mean, that movie they made a movie about Yugoslavia where the pilot was shot down from NATO, and he's going around and he falls into a ravine and he's surrounded by the rotting corpses of Muslims who were slaughtered by the Serbs. It was horrific, folks. I mean, and it was all avoidable. It was avoidable. We just had a coward in the White House by the name of Bill Clinton, and cowards in the European Union, in Germany and France and the UK, who sat by idly and let it happen. It was truly a truly sad situation. But hey, it was just a even worse situation than what happened in Croatia when Yugoslavia broke apart. Let me just talk a little about Yugoslavia for a few minutes. So in, what year was it, 92? I can't remember now, or 91. It was early 92, I'm trying to remember. I think it was 91. Yeah, it was 91. Yeah, late 91. So Slovenia and Croatia in 91 announced that they were going to leave Yugoslavia, the land of the South Slavs. That's what Yugoslavia means. They were going to leave it. And the Yugoslav National Army said, nope. And so it started a conflict, a war, a shooting war. And the Yugoslav National Army was in Slovenia. And the war lasted, about 9 days? But the Slovenes were ready. They made plans. They had their civil defense guys. They ambushed the JNA, the Yugoslav National Army, and others. It was pretty intense. They won their freedom. And after a week or plus, the JNA said, you know what? It's 90+% Slovene. We don't care about it. We're leaving it. We're focusing on Croatia, where we have a lot of Serbs. And so Croatia fought a 6-month bloody, horrific war. And it occurred in Vukovar, Vinkovici in the east of the country, and then also some other spots. But that was where most of the fighting was, adjacent to Serbia. And this is brutal. You had a conflict in which you really had literally the phrase weekend warriors was applicable, because what happened is that you had Serbs who came in from Belgrade and other places in Yugoslavia, and they fought wars on the weekend. So during the week, they were plumbers and mechanics and politicians and farmers at home. And come Friday, they grabbed their paramilitary kit and their weapons, and they all drove up and they went to the front and they fought a war. So every weekend the war would inflame in Vukovar, Vinkovic, and places like that. The cities were completely destroyed. And then on Monday they were back home. And it was bizarre. You had brigade strengths that were listed at 1,600 personnel on Saturday, but come Monday there were like 240 people left because they're the only ones there. It was a really weird war, but it was brutal. It was atrocious. It was horrific. It was urban. And it was really nasty what they did. That super chat hasn't come up yet, but Michael gave a $50 super chat. Thank you for that, Mike. By the way, that takes care of, after YouTube takes their cut, what's left over will take care of the difference from the tolls and the gas when I came to speak to your group. Thank you for that, Michael. Appreciate it. Very kind, Mike. All right. Yeah. So Dylan said he was only born in 1991. The movie Behind the Lines. That's the movie, Lilo, Behind the Lines. Was it Nicolas Cage? Who was in that? Yeah, Behind the Lines. Yeah, it was actually not a bad film, to be honest. You still need to Blauwildebeest, Biltong. Okay, Lee. Huh. Is that a statement that Ronaldo is back online soon? Or are you asking, Hendo? Do you know something the rest of us don't know? He says hopefully he'll be back in line soon. Owen Wilson, that's who it was. Yeah, it wasn't Nicolas Cage. It was Owen Wilson. Yeah, the guy with the crooked nose. Owen Wilson, that's who it was. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so it was Behind the Lines. No, so it all fell apart. Now, Bosnia wasn't in the war initially. So the war went for 6 months. The United Nations deployed 25,000 peacekeepers from countries around the world, including from Kenya and elsewhere. They went to Croatia. They occupied those places. The war stopped. It never really resumed, so it was effective. But then the Bosnia portion of Yugoslavia decided to hold a plebiscite. They held a vote, and they voted to secede, and they did. And instantaneously, the Serb militias, the Tigers under Arkan, started operating, and you got to remember that Bosnia was occupied by what we call Bosniaks, who were really secular Muslims for the most part. Some are devout Muslims, but most are secular. Some Croats and Serbs. And when they declared independence, the Serbs were pissed off, and then the Croats were pissed off later too. And so the Croats launched an attack called Operation, if I remember correctly, it was August Storm, and they invaded in the northwestern portion of Bosnia. The Serbs came from the northeast and the east, and the army of Bosnia-Herzegovina found itself under pressure as it was formed. And if there's a horrible war, and if you remember Srebrenica, Dutch peacekeepers went to Srebrenica after the war was supposedly over, but it wasn't. In there to, but they were constrained. They weren't doing the peace. It needed to be peacemaking, forced peace, but there wasn't a peace to make. So they were disadvantaged. So the Dutch peacekeepers were sent to Srebrenica. They were there for some time. Then the Serbs came in, and they tied the Dutch soldiers to poles and trees and took their weapons, kept them as hostages. When this was going on, the U.S. Air Force had 2 F-16s with ordnance flying air cap missions over Bosnia, and they were over Srebrenica. The pilots asked, as this was unfolding and the Serbs were advancing, 3 separate times for permission to drop the ordinance to stop the Serb attack on Srebrenica. And 3 separate times, the United Nations, DPKO, Department of Peacekeeping Operations, under Kofi Annan, the war criminal, denied their intervention. And by not dropping the ordinance, the Serbs advanced unhindered. They took the Dutch peacekeepers as hostages, and then 7,000 men and boys from the age of 9 upwards were executed with a bullet to the back of the head. They completely wiped it out. And the world wants to forget about this. But I've not forgotten about it. Just like I haven't forgotten about the slaughter of Pete Retief and his party by Dingani. When you get back here, hopefully I could share biltong and dwarvos. Oh, yeah, now I'm into dwarvos. I never ate it before. I've avoided it for 25, 30 years. And then finally, Arctic bought me some, and I felt obliged to eat it because he was being nice. He's got an aversion to bells. But anyway, he bought me dwarvos, and man, that was so good. And I got hooked on it. Wesley Clark was useless. Yes, he was. Wesley Clark was useless in the Kosovo campaign. He wasn't the Bosnia thing. Supposedly, Wesley Clark let 80% of the Serbian army drive home. I'm not sure what that statement's about. Dylan says war is a thing I want to know nothing of. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Dylan. War is terrible. Mike says it was Wilson's only dramatic role with Gene Hackman. That's right, Gene Hackman was in that movie too. That's right. It was a pretty good movie, actually. It was pretty good. Brett's working 2 jobs now. Well, I'm sorry to see. Well, Brett, I hope you're making a lot of coin. That'd be good. But thank you for the super chats. Remember seeing the news from Vukovar? It was bad, and that's just what they showed us. Yeah, Vukovar and Vinkovici, that whole area was terrible. Yep. The Bihać pocket is where Operation August Storm. Let me see if there's anything even online about that Operation August Storm. So Operation August Storm. Soviet invasion of Manchuria. No, that's not it. Let me see if I can do Croatia. Operation Storm, excuse me. They just called it Storm. Yeah, during Operation Storm, August 4th to 7th, that's why I called it August Storm, Croatian forces regained nearly all the territory seized in 91 by rebel Croat Serbs, but the offensive also triggered the flight of 200,000 Serbs. Yep, so they regained all of their territory. Operation Storm. Yeah, it was the last major battle of the Croatian War of Independence, a major factor in the outcome of the Bosnian War. It's a decisive victory for the Croatian army of HIV, which attacked across a 630-kilometer front against the self-declared proto-state of Serbian Krajina. Yeah, it was the Krajina. And a strategic victory for the army of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Croatian forces supported by Croatian Special Police advancing in the army of Bosnia and Herzegovina in the Bihać pocket. Yep. The battle launched to restore Croatian control of 4,000 square miles territory, representing 18% of the territory claimed. And Bosniak controlled western Bosnia. It was the largest European land battle since World War II. Operation Storm commenced at dawn on August 4th, 1995, declared complete by the evening of 7 August. They just swept the Serbian forces in front of them. Strategic victory of the Bosnian War, effectively ending the siege of Bihać and placing the Croatian Defense Council and the Army of Bosnia and Herzegovina in a position to change the military balance of power. Yep. It was incredible. 130,000 Croatian soldiers and 3,000 Army of Bosnia and Herzegovina soldiers. Republic of Serbia had 27 to 34,000 men. Yep, and there were about 4 or 5,000 in Western Bosnia. Croatian casualties were 174 to 211 killed in the conflict. The Serbs lost 560. There were 1,400 wounded Croatians and 3 captured, 4,000 Serb prisoners of war. There were civilian deaths. 214 were claimed by the Croats. The Serbs said it was 1,192. Yeah, 4 UN peacekeepers were killed in this. The International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia later tried 3 Croatian generals charged with war crimes and partaking in a joint criminal enterprise designed to force the Serb population out of Croatia. They were acquitted, and the tribunal refuted charges of criminal enterprise. Yep. So, yep. Serbia sued Croatia before the International Court of Justice, claiming the offensive constituted genocide. In 2015, the court ruled the offensive was not genocidal and affirmed the previous findings. Yep. So here's a map to show you how complicated this is. See how big I can make this. So let me zoom. Okay, so this is a map of Croatia, and you can see where the Serbs lived in Croatian territory and the percentage. The darker the blue, the higher the concentration. So that's a map of Croatia, territorial distribution of Serbs in Croatia. So you can see why this was a problem. And that upper left-hand corner, that like arm extending there, all that blue, that is where Vukovar and Vinkovici are at, close to the border with Serbia. And then the dark blue in the left leg of that going down and looping around, that is around the Bihać pocket. The Bihać pocket was that finger of white that extends up there into it. And you see how many Serbs there were. A very high concentration of Serbs. That area is now devoid of Serbs, almost 100% empty of Serbs as a consequence of what happened in that conflict. Operation Storm. Of course, they called it Storm 95 after Desert Storm. That's why they went with it. So, yep. I was on the border late in the 80s. Not good. That's true. Very little mention incident after Pete Retief and were executed in the Western Wiener Massacre. Oh, no, I've talked about the Wiener Massacre, Blaukranz and Wiener. I've talked about that extensively. Yep. Yep. They murdered every man and woman, well, that they could find. But the thing is that the Voortrekkers, especially women and elderly, organized and fought back. And while there was a massacre, a lot of Zulu died. And they were chasing them through the reeds and the bushes along the creeks. Yeah, I know. Was it Johanna Strijdom, I think her name was? She was wounded, she was like 30 assegai wounds or something like that. She survived, even had kids later on. Palestine action arrested after attacking police with sledgehammer during raids on arms company. Good. About time they started arresting them. Robert's out of here. It sticks with me because my best friend at school was a Serb, and I remember his dad predicting it would go bad there just like you did. Yeah, no, I did predict that, unfortunately. 84 Winter Olympics was in Sarajevo. It was absolutely brilliant. Yep. And the Europeans who claim that they're so civilized and so in control and so above everything else were guilty of the worst atrocities since Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. Yep. That's true. Alrighty. Well, folks, I think we should probably wrap it up here. 100 likes and some good super chat revenue. That'll put us up a little bit for the month. We were really hurting. I measure it by weeks now. I look and see what we have by week and figure if we're going to do well. So that really helped today. Thanks. After YouTube takes their cut, I'll still be a nice piece of coin for tomorrow. Yep. Hey, Robert Zede, how's it going? So thank you all for being here. Thanks for those who tuned in to watch Iconic. If you didn't see it, you should go back and watch it. It was a lekker conversation. Really good. Mike, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm tired. I have my radio program tonight, 7 to 9, The Common Sense Conservatives on WSMN.live, Live, WSMN.live, or you can catch it on Facebook and also on YouTube. I'm not sure where it is on YouTube. We're not getting censored much anymore. Images starting people in concentration camps in Europe was very bad. Yep, right in the heart of Europe. Diane says, yes, time to go. My cat has come to check on me. Okay. All right, Diane, thank you very much. I'll sort out the join and super chat ticked off not being... What? Not being to go Israel. Huh? I don't know what that is. I also served in Israel. I was deployed to Israel. Spent 4 months in Israel. Yep. All right, guys. Have a good night. Cheers. That was a long time ago. Thanks for being here. I need a break. I'm getting a bit of a headache. Cheers. It's raining outside.